Hello everyone, it's me, Clayton. I just finished watching Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And with Sam Raimi at the helm for this film, it certainly manages to deliver on the madness part of it, as it definitely veers more into the supernatural horror that you'd expect from the director of Evil Dead, though not to the R-rated extent. It's still very much PG-13, but there's definitely jump scares, there's definitely more horror elements to it, and there's definitely a more creepy side to both Strange and Scarlet Witch than we've seen before. Let's get to the story, shall we? The story focuses on Doctor Strange when he finds this girl named America Chavez, who has an uncontrollable power to go through different universes. Because the multiverse has been created based on the previous Disney Plus shows, and it seems that America Chavez has dealt with Doctor Strange before, as he's either died or betrayed her in the past. So, along with Doctor Strange having to get America Chavez to trust him, he also finds out that Scarlet Witch wants to go to a universe where she has two sons, where she gets to live happily as a mother. So, Strange has to go through different universes to save America Chavez from the Scarlet Witch, while also finding a whole new world of possibilities for the Marvel Universe. But that's all I'll say about the story. The story here actually doesn't have as many cameos and guest appearances as you'd think there would be. There's like one sequence in the middle that mainly has most of the cameo appearances, and I'm glad that's the case, considering that while I enjoyed said cameos, and they do suggest some things that could happen in the future that I'm really looking forward to, at the same time, I'm glad it focused mainly on the story and characters and the themes of that haven't been explored in the first Doctor Strange movie. Especially Doctor Strange's continuing relationship with Christine, played by Rachel McAdams. I'm glad they brought her back, considering that not only does Doctor Strange have to deal with the fact that he's one of the heroes who didn't get the girl, but he also has to still work with her in a way, considering that he still can have her as a friend, and he can still ultimately have a way to prove that he can face his fears, unlike some versions of himself. And facing fears is definitely what Scarlet Witch has to go through as well. And you can definitely see Sam Raimi's involvement with Evil Dead when it comes to her character too, especially with some of the creepier faces she makes, some of the more engaging emotional acting that she has, and definitely some of the insane uses of her powers. I mean, some of these are like invincible levels of violence that she inflicts on some of the heroes. On some of the heroes of other timelines. But of course, Sam Raimi's gory style came out way before Invincible was a thing, so it's definitely him going back to doing what he does best. And for people who believe that Marvel films can't use the style of their directors, clearly James Gunn proved them wrong, and Sam Raimi proves them wrong here too, considering this is very much a Sam Raimi movie, for better and for worse. There is some corny dialogue and there is some dodgy CG, but at the same time there's a few more fistfights than I expected. There's a bit more emotional heft to this film than I expected. And as well as the fact that America Chavez ends up going from a character who seems like she was mainly there for the sake of being a statistic rather than a character to being a character I ended up really caring for at the end. And I could say the same for a lot of the characters. I really cared a lot about Wong. I cared a lot about Mordo in a way, considering that they give us a different version of his character than we saw in the first Doctor Strange. It's definitely one of those films where you need to see it to believe it to get some of the all the full experience, and it does benefit from watching certain episodes of What If when it comes to certain characters they explore. But ultimately, I think it's a very satisfying multiverse film, especially for fans of Doctor Strange, who absolutely will come back for another adventure, but we'll see that when we see that. For now, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness gets an 8.5 out of 10. See you next time.